Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. The recap of stage 19 of the Giro d'Italia, the Queen stage. This episode is brought to you by Morton, Feltre to Aleje, Piani di Pezze, not long stage, which is controversial for traditionalists. The Queen stage should be 220 Ks. This is 150, so it ends up being a sub 4.5 hour stage. But we do have a succession of constant climbs. 1 hour valley, then the Passo Duran, 12Ks, 8% Cat 1. The Koi, 6K, 9% climb, then another 6K, 6% climbs, short descents amongst these. Then the Passo João, 10Ks at 9.3%, another descent. Then the Passo Falsarego, 10Ks at 5%. Then a very long descent, 25Ks, I think, and a short valley before the start of the final climb, which is 5Ks, 10%, reminiscent of the Fedaya finish, where Jai Hindley won the Giro in 2022, but the harder climbs before. Before the stage, Vingegaard said he wanted Koos to win the stage from the break.
Okay.
And Ciccone wanted to win the stage from the break. What else do we have? What did you expect from each team? So the Visma said what they're going to do. Decathlon want to just defend second.
Yep.
Ineos.
That was my expectation.
What do you think?
Ineos, I would say, defending podium would also be on the menu for them. There's a bunch of teams that want to win this from the breakaway. I think that's the big takeaway there. There's a bunch of riders just outside of top 10 that want to jump into the top 10 that might trigger an avalanche of riders going into breakaway. We'll get to that in a little bit. But before we dive into the stage, Patrick, there was a bit of a controversial social media moment because Michael Valgren and James Shaw did not start today's stage for EF. And it wasn't due to injuries and so forth. It was because the team realized that they've got a lot of injuries outside of the team here at the Giro, and that they want to keep Valgren and Shaw well recovered and safe for upcoming goals in the next couple of months. So I read into that Valgren Tour de France participation kind of vibe. Now, the traditionalists of the sport will say, how dare you leave the Giro d'Italia? How dare you disrespect the Giro d'Italia by leaving before it finishes if you're not injured? What is your take?
Yeah, I mean, what were they going to do on these stages? Would they have changed your entertainment for the race? I think they've been honest about what's happening. Neither's a climber. Valgren's won a stage. Neither's in a jersey. Their team isn't in a jersey. If they didn't post about it, no one would have noticed.
Yeah, and if anything, there's other teams that will pretend that a rider has an injury or something to try and get them out of the race, pretend that it's not for another reason outside of an injury. I'd rather have teams be honest in this way, if I'm being honest. And I also think there's this, people don't need to have like this feeling about Grand Tours that they are holier than thou in terms of having to respect it in a way where teams have to make decisions that hurt themselves in the process. And if it benefits the team to take them out of the race now for future goals, then I think that's fine. If anything, you and I preach all the time that back in the day, for example, Mario Cipollini left every single Grand Tour after 9 or 10 days. It's completely allowed to leave a race. What is not allowed is then racing a new race during that race that you just left without permission. As long as that doesn't happen, I'm fine with everything.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to start maybe the Tour de Wallonie on...
Stage 5 of Boucle de la Mayenne?
Yeah, are they starting Wallonie on... That's probably on Monday anyway. So, yeah, they can't go to Boucle de la Mayenne. So, I just don't care, frankly. Maybe the riders, what I want to say, though, does it make a difference?
I don't think so.
But also for the riders, is it necessary as well?
What do you mean for them individually?
I mean, we've come this far. It's 2 more stages. They're going to ride in the Gruppetto anyway.
Well, it's a pretty hard stage, to be honest, today, if I look at the way it was written.
Yeah, but for Valgren and Shaw, they're not Jakobsen.
Yeah.
They're not going to get fucked by just riding in the Gruppetto. So I don't know. Maybe the riders, I don't know if they wanted to do it. Anyway, that was the news. We see another abandoned Jonathan Narvaez. He had blood on his hand. Don't know what happened. Apparently he crashed on the way back to the team bus yesterday and he's a bit injured. So he also abandoned the race, but he's out of Ciclamino. So few abandons. And then break formation. We initially saw Ineos controlling with Ghana, and I thought, oh, they're going to try to go on the climb with Haig and Svested to get in the break. We saw Decathlon following Ineos and Bora, so they didn't want satellite riders in the breakaway. But on the valley, we then see Rouleurs jumping. We see Turner leading out Haig on the flat, so they weren't waiting for the climb. And we have like Rouleurs getting across into a nice group. Zverznes, Tug Buddy for Coolset, Stork for Tudor, Dens for Red Bull, but he's not pulling because he's got no Vlasov or Pellizzari, and Harper's pulling hard for his own GC.
If I look at that group, Harper is one of those names where, just like we mentioned last night, he wants to get into that top 10, or at least manifest a proper top 10 position after today's stage by going in the breakaway, taking a bit of time, even if he gets caught by the GC group on the final climb, hoping that a fringe top 10 rider has already dropped at that point so he can finish ahead of those riders. That is the vibe when it comes to him, but this was not the final breakaway, Patrick, because just before the foot, maybe on the early gradients of that first Passo Duran climb, we had a new group, a chasing group form with multiple UAE riders. I think Bjerk and Kristen were part of that group. Then Pinarello was there for NSN, Josh Kench for Groupama, your mate, Garcia Cortina for Movistar, and Silva for Astana. And that was still not it, because now the climb is starting, and now the climby riders want to go in the breakaway, because of all the names we've gone through right now, there's one obvious missing name, Ciccone. Ciccone wants to go in the breakaway today because this is a day where he can secure the KOM points. He needs to secure basically the first 3 climbs to properly, the first 4 climbs, sorry. I keep forgetting about the Forcella Stalanza being a part of that, the climb before the Passo Giao. But the first 4 climbs, and then he would be, I think, 45 points ahead of Vingegaard in that classification. So that's his objective. Combine that with maybe the first climb tomorrow, and he's got KOM secured against a Jonas Vingegaard possibility of winning. But yeah, Ciccone attacked together with, I think, Sobrero at the start of the climb.
Yeah, they kept attacking. I don't really know why Ciccone and like Rubio kept attacking, because no one else in the breakaway was going to contest the KOM points, and Ciccone is the fastest in a sprint anyway. I didn't really get it.
Yeah, but around those 2 riders, around Ciccone, around Rubio and so forth, to be honest, that chasing group that formed with Ciccone, next to Rubio also had Mas, so 2 riders from Movistar, plus Garcia Cortina being ahead. Sepp Kuss was in that group as well for Visma Lease Bike. Jan Hirt, Zwiehoff as a potential satellite rider for Hindley, and Caruso and Bettiol, and I think somewhere in these groups Pellizzari was also, but I actually don't remember which of these 3 groups that was. He bridged across, okay. So these groups merged together on that first climb. Like you say, Ciccone and Rubio keep on attacking each other. In the end, halfway that climb, shit hits the fan, to be honest, because Visma Lease Bike is setting a controlling tempo in the peloton behind, but which of the top 10 fringe GC riders do we see attacking? O'Connor, Storer, G, anyone else? O'Connor
had already attacked. He's cracking, and at that moment, Tudor do a team attack with Will Barter, Rondell, and Storer. Storks ahead already. G tacks onto that. These aren't even fringe top 10 guys. These are literally like 6th and 7th in GC. 6th and 7th in GC go up, and they're not that far off the podium. Before today's stage, as a reminder, G was 2 minutes and 9 behind Hindley, and 2 minutes 32 or 2 minutes 42 behind Aronsman in GC. Not that far. They go across without a fight. No reaction from Ineos, no reaction from Decathlon, no reaction from Bora, and Tudor have like over half their team in the break.
And Caruso was already in that breakaway, so the only rider from P6 to P10 that is not in the breakaway is Piganzoli, who stays by the side of Jonas Vingegaard in the peloton. But like you said, O'Connor was not having the best time in the breakaway, because he dropped back to that store group, then dropped off the back of that store group, then returned to that group, then dropped properly to the peloton. And we'll talk about what happens with O'Connor later in that peloton, but I feel like there was a moment where Rondell got dropped by Will Barter and Storer for a second, no? He came back afterwards,
yeah,
but...
he was suffering a little bit. Barter as well, but yeah, Rondell was nowhere near as strong as Storer, that was clear.
But I want to talk about an Italian in the breakaway, Patrick. He rides in the colors of Astana. Alberto Bettiol hard-paced this entire first climb with Ciccone in the wheel. I'm going to go out of my way of saying he was 100% riding for Ciccone.
He was definitely helping Ciccone, and indeed, Ciccone takes the full KOM points after Bettiol keeps it shut down. That group is being, Tim Rex is chasing it with a gap of, I don't know, a minute 30, I think, a minute 20. Like, they keep it reasonably tight. And big days like this is all about fueling. And that's why this episode is brought to you by Morton. The temperatures are creeping up. It's actually just really hot already in May. The rides get longer like this, and suddenly fueling stops being something you can take for granted. Because underfueling can destroy your ride. That's why I keep coming back to Morton Drink Mix on big training days. Combine one Drink Mix 320 and a gel 160, and you're doing 120 grams an hour easily. Without actually having to think about it too much. And what makes that tolerable is Morton's hydrogel technology. Once the drink hits the acidity of your stomach, the carbohydrates are protected by the hydrogel, which transports them for easy absorption, avoiding some of those stomach issues that you might think would come with high carb intake. And when you're fueling high carb, I'm already through them. The apple ones are my favorite, but the Morton additions I think are really, really cool. I like the normal Morton flavor without them, but if you're doing 500 grams of carbs in one session, maybe you want to change up the flavor profile to help you keep on top of your fueling. And they got Morton, they got cola, orange, apple, menthol. The apple one's absolutely insane. So go and try them out as well. You get a free box of additions with every drink mix purchase. So go to Morton, use code LRCP026 for 15% off your order. On the descent, Visma take it really, really easy. Gap goes out to 230, 240. The breakaway, who's the favorites of the station from the breakaway are Rubio, Mas, I picked, Gia even, Ciccone, Koos, Pellizzari, I would say. GC guys, like Benji said, to remind you, Caruso, G, Storer, Rondell, threatening Pickens, Ollie's White, Harper, Caruso.
Yes, I think you said Caruso twice, but he deserves it.
Exactly.
Anyway, on the Koi climb now, the second climb. These next two climbs, Koi and Forcella Stolanza, are kind of like one climb with a descent in the middle, is how I perceive it. Because the descent is so short that you might as well count it as one climb. But on that Koi climb, that store group came to the front breakaway. That is why we just went through the potential stage favorites. And yeah, the gap is 2 minutes 30, but it being kept at 2 minutes 30 is all thanks to one man, Tim Rex, who's been smashing it for the half of Duran after I think Kilik dropped off the back. Then on Koi, Tim Rex was spacing. On the next climb, Tim Rex was spacing. It is insane how well Tim Rex is handling the pacing job as the, so to say, second rider in a mountain train. At his age, he's still a neo-pro. Like, we can't forget that. And I'm trying to figure out what role he would have been in like a Tour de France 2023 team of his Malisa bike. Would he be the regeneration of Van Hooijdonk or Van Baarle?
Van Baarle. Or Geesink.
Is Van Kerkhoven Van Hooijdonk then?
Nah.
Who's Van Hooijdonk?
Van Hooijdonk is Kielijk.
Wow. Van Hooijdonk was a lot better in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's like the role they have.
Yeah, okay.
I'd say Van Kerkhoven is like Jorgensen potential.
Ooh. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that's you've got me thinking about Alps' Air Tour, which I was watching the YouTube stream of today. So I've
about what?
Alps' Air Tour, the 2.2.
Oh, Alps' Air.
Yeah.
I heard Alpesen's Air Tool. I was like, is that some kind of hair product?
No free ads. No free ads.
Talking about a hair product.
Koi. What did you run through the history of Koi?
It was named after Olaf Koy in the same way that Lachlan Morton was named after Morton, right?
Exactly. And Olaf Koy also won today, first day back of racing in Boucle de la Mayenne.
Let's go.
But on Koi, this is where Koos and Roglic dropped Almeida 3 years ago. Very hard climb. You see Eulalio suffering. O'Connor's GC goes there. And I just don't get why Ciccone and Rubio were so aggressive on every KOM point. I just don't get it. No, I don't understand.
The thing is, Rubio cannot win KOM.
No.
So that's there. So him going for KOM, maybe it's for the financial reasons, maybe it's because he wants to be as close as possible just in case something happens with Ciccone in the same way that it happened to Narvaez. It's always possible, but then something also has to happen to Jonas Vingegaard because he's also ahead of
Oh, you get
Rubio.
UCI points for third in KOM.
Yeah, you do get UCI points for that. That's a fair assessment. I don't know. Rubio clearly wanted to fight Ciccone at every single
But
KOM point.
why didn't they do the fight? Tudor were pacing. Tudor, Tudor were pacing for GC. So when you have, Kus has got the freest ride ever. Same with Pellizzari.
Yep.
They're like, Tudor are going to pace for GC and G, and Ciccone and Rubio are going to go. We are not hitting the wind. Just sit behind Tudor and then sprint at the top and then wait and let Tudor pace again. Why do they continue? Tudor are not going to stop with Stork.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, at that, to be clear, Ciccone takes KOM points on this climb and also the next climb. And after the Forcello Stalanza, the third climb into the race, he's now 5 points, I think, behind Jonas in KOM. One thing to note, though, O'Connor and Eulalia were dropping on that Koi climb. So the second climb of the day. And it's maybe on the descent of Koi, probably on the descent of Stalanza, where both actually returned to the peloton. And O'Connor, to be clear, is going to drop again on Passo Giao. Eulalia actually seems to have recovered from that early downfall and is climbing better on the Passo Giao now. But in the ramp to the Passo Giao, Patrick,
I think the pace was just more moderate.
About that, did I see that correctly? That I saw a decathlon rider riding into the foot of Passo Giao instead of a Visma rider once Rex was done? One rider. Didn't take long. Visma took over directly afterwards.
Yeah, I think Decathlon realized that you can't let Visma do the descents. And Ineos realized that off Falsarego as well. Because Ineos are doing the descents so slow. Visma were doing the descents rather so slowly. They were losing a minute each descent. And Visma were kind of bailing out Decathlon, Bora, and Ineos today. They saved their ass by controlling so much of this stage. Visma start pacing the first half of Zhao with Bart Lemon. And yeah, Eulalia looked okay, but G is not the problem of Visma.
Yep.
And they got Kus in the break. So
G is not the problem of Visma, but if you think further, then the
Rondell.
more pressure Visma puts, the less likely Rondell in the breakaway becomes a danger of Piganzoli.
Yeah,
and on the other hand, there's enough chance that Ciccone messes up KOM somehow and the stage still goes to the peloton. So by keeping the pressure on, the stage win is relatively in play. It's not completely gone on Passo Giao, right? It's 2 minutes.
It's kind of a UAE tactic. It's like when they want to say, okay, do we have the situation? Who do we want to win in front? Okay, they have a chance. We leave it like this. Or they don't have a chance. We are close enough that now we can go for it from the peloton. And indeed, Rondell needed to be shut down for Piganzoli's white jersey, so maybe that's the reason. So on Zhao, it's I think it was Lemon almost the whole time. Campanarts gets dropped by Lemon on Passo Zhao, and Zvihov takes over. So Hindley, obviously, he's got Pellizzari ahead, but again, they want to keep that pressure on. From the peloton, they want to make sure that Eulalia and Aronsman feel that pressure for Hindley's GC. And
the fact that Zvihov was there is because he was in the early breakaway. So this is an early satellite rider coming into play because he's also caught relatively early in the stage from that breakaway because he was dropped. But in doing so, I don't think Zvihov would be here at the foot of Passo Giao if he didn't attack on the first climb. It was a pretty small group already.
I was surprised how small it was. I guess it's a hard climb.
Except for Decathlon. They had 1 billion riders.
Yeah, Decathlon had Stana, Mittet, Scotts, and Mühlberger and Goal. Visma had functionally 4 with Kus ahead. Lemon, Piganzoli, and Vingegaard in the peloton. They're now getting a free ride. And so over the top of Zhao, it is... I think Lemon still did the descent. And then Falsarego, it was Decathlon and Ineos relaying with Staunemit. Svested Bard saying the Norwegian for Ineos, he was in the break, gets called back. He starts to pace on the climb after Staunemit. And this is where so to set the scene, Derek G had gone into virtual podium on GC. That was also the point where the call obviously came from the car of Ineos and Decathlon, who were both second and third. Don't let Visma...
On Falzarego.
top of Zhao, descent towards Falzarego.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're like, okay, we can't leave this up to Visma, who don't care. Because Rondell was now dropped on Zhao, and he's like in no man's land. So Visma didn't really need to keep pacing behind their breakaway with Koos in it. G was trucking. And he's not, when you actually think about it, it's crazy he was allowed in the break by Ineos and Decathlon and Bora like that, like with Tudor. Like he really was not far behind the podium on GC before today. We're not talking 5 minutes, we're talking 2 minutes 30.
It's like when a rider like that attacks, you expect an avalanche of GC riders that goes and tries to follow to the point where everybody has to react at a certain point, which we've seen in the past before. But in this case, it's like the avalanche stopped at P5, as in front of G going in the breakaway. No one above that in GC reacted in a similar fashion. Now, either way, I think some added focus needs to be given on. Yes, at this point in the race, we're on Falzarego now, the second last climb. At this point, Ciccone also has basically the 50 points from Passo Giao, because that was an out-of-category climb, which means that he's now 45 points ahead in KOM over Jonas. So he's also now the Maglia Azzurra. He's achieved his first goal of the stage, which was taking Maglia Azzurra. His second goal is potentially going for the stage. But I think at this point on Falzarego, Ciccone's singular goal should not be the stage win. It should be pacing every single second for Derek G. Because he's on the virtual podium right now.
Yeah, I mean, let's be like, oh, but he couldn't have got onto the podium. He couldn't have got into fourth. The descent from that chase group was horrendous. So Koos wasn't taking over at all. It was Michael Storer. He's not a good descender doing it.
We did not mention the attack yet. We did not mention the Rubio drama either.
So yeah, so if you didn't know, which you obviously didn't, Ina Rubio's leading the Red Bull classification, which gives a prize bonus of 15,000 euros. And he got mad at Derek G, a GC rider on the virtual podium, for sprinting for bonus seconds, 6 seconds. Like, it's not nothing.
Especially because G's like 8 seconds ahead of Store or something in GC. So it's definitely valuable for G to go for these few seconds. Rubio got pretty mad about it. Now we get to the top of that Passo Falzarego, and there Ciccone wants to get the KOM points because he wants to secure his KOM jersey more. Rubio sneak attacks on the right side, daylight robbery, takes the points from Ciccone. Ciccone gets super angry at Rubio. In doing so, gets so angry with the gap on the others, by the way, that in the descent, he says, fuck it, I'll attack Rubio in the descent. I'll try to win the stage with a descent attack. In doing so, dropping his GC leader, Derek G, who's on the virtual podium right now, who needs Ciccone to pace to keep that virtual podium towards the foot of the final climb. And in the next 10 to 15 kilometers, Derek G loses 2 virtual spots in the GC because Ciccone is off the front and the tempo in the chasing group with G's not riding. I guess because Ciccone's off the front going for the stage win, which stage win's not more important than a Grand Tour podium, guys.
And Pellizzari and Koos were also looking at G there, and they're like, but they were thinking he was gonna ride, because otherwise, what was the point of getting in the break in the first place? So Storer does the descent. He's very weak downhill. They lose a minute 10 almost on the descent. A minute 10. So I think with the descent, if Ciccone did the descent, and then you have full cooperation, G, Pellizzari pulling in the valley, because G didn't pull the valley either. I think they start that climb like 3 minutes ahead.
And even if it's not 3 minutes, then it's at least 2 minutes, which it wasn't by the time they hit the foot of that climb.
But I got a quote from Rubio.
Okay, I want the quote from Rubio. Hit it.
It's from Mihai. Rubio agreed. He's Rubio to Eurosport. I agreed with Little Trek to work together. Let Ciccone take the KOM and let me take the Red Bull Sprint. But they didn't keep their word. They wanted to be smart.
That is not nice by Little Trek. If that is true, then
no.
G's at fault. If that's true.
No. Common law principles, Benji. You cannot bind in contract someone who is not a signatory or a participant to the contract.
Okay, so the deal was between Ciccone and Rubio.
Aina
G
Rubio
didn't know
made a
about it.
deal with Giulio Ciccone, not the broader construct known as Little Trek.
The lawyer is stepping in.
Derek G was unaware of this deal, or at least it seems to be the case.
I do understand Rubio being pissed about it if there was a deal with Ciccone for it.
But if they if they made a deal, okay, they made a deal, right? So why the fuck were they riding in front of the peloton, dangling at 20 seconds every climb? Then
nobody knows, Patrick.
What are they doing?
Yeah, I don't think I have an answer to that. Now, about Ciccone's decision to attack in that downhill and leave G behind, basically, do we think that's a personal decision by Ciccone or a team car decision? Because
no, he just started to do it in the moment. But is oh no, sorry. Can I do the counter? I have the quote from Ciccone now because Rubio then stole the KOMs through. Can I do the? Sorry.
No.
This is from Lanterne Rouge. This is from Ciccone. Rubio got angry because he wanted the Red Bull kilometer, but it was a thing for GC riders due to the bonification. I had nothing to do like that. He thought it was my fault. I did a mistake on KOM. I trusted him, but what he did was a pretty petty move.
Jesus Christ, this is so petty by both of them.
What does Ciccone owe G?
What do you mean, what does Ciccone owe G?
Yeah. Why should
Derek G is going for the podium, so in principle, Ciccone should be riding for him.
Derek G didn't lift a finger for his own GC on stage 5.
For who's GC? For Ciccone's GC?
Both. For his own GC. Eulalia was ahead of him on GC for ages.
I'm sorry, but I still don't think that... To be clear, we're talking about Little Trek who showed up with a half a sprint team with 0 stage wins in sprints that could not help Derek G nor Ciccone in stage 5. We're not going to blame Derek G for not pacing at the front of the peloton behind the breakaway on stage 5 as a GC leader.
Why not?
Jonas Vingegaard wouldn't have done it either if he was isolated in that moment.
Vingegaard.
He's also ahead of Eulalia after the stage in GC, so it clearly wasn't the problem.
I think he could have helped himself if he gave the pink jersey a few cursory pulls on stage 5. I think it would have cost him nothing, and it might have helped. He's cost himself there. I'm sorry.
Ciccone is not a GC rider. I'm sorry. Ciccone didn't ride for his own GC on that day. He had the Maglia Rosa, had a perfect moment to bridge towards the breakaway on that climb, decided not to do it, and then spent the next 30 kilometers riding ahead of that GC group for no reason.
But Trek haven't won a stage. So, like you said, so they want to go for the stage win.
Yeah, but a podium in a Grand Tour is a bit more valuable than a stage win. And there's no certainty that Ciccone is going to win the stage either with this attack.
I agree, because the problem really fundamentally is he has to do this entire descent solo, of which, and he's putting in a huge effort, of which like 8Ks of it is 4%. He's pedaling just nearly at threshold. Then there's a 6K valley, 5K valley. You think, oh, that's nothing. He has to ride basically... Ciccone has to do 30 to 35% longer threshold effort than everyone chasing him. Say the climb's 15 minutes, 17 minutes. He has to do a 23-minute threshold effort because he has to do the valley at threshold. Meanwhile, he's still losing time. So I think it...
But like, to go back to your initial point there earlier, going into this race, Ciccone was going for stages.
Yeah.
Derek G was set to be the GC rider.
Yep.
We're not going to make the argument that Ciccone doesn't owe Derek G pacing because G didn't help Ciccone protect his Make-A-Wish Maglia Rosa.
Yeah, but I'm saying G could have ridden for his own GC there.
I think that's a stretch.
If it wasn't for Visma placing the last 20 minutes of that stage, G would still be behind Eulalia, or Eulalia crashing.
And if G just starts pacing a peloton, let's be honest, it was still a peloton.
Yeah. Then
he's also got an opportunity to get counter in the final.
Oh, I mean, I'm not talking. I'm just like, you can't keep it moving, like nothing serious. But
this whole dilemma would be out of the way if this team actually had climbers next to Ciccone and G in this team.
Didn't G also? But to your point, didn't G help Ciccone seal KOM today by keeping everything moving?
Yes, and G was also the guy yesterday that started pacing for Milan in a sprint stage. G gives to the team, and today he's not getting anything back.
Yeah. I've tried to play devil's advocate. I don't agree with it, mainly because I think it's not the best for the stage win. I think the best chance for the stage... G was climbing near enough Hindley-Aronsman level on the previous mountain stage, right?
Yeah.
There's no guarantee Koos is that much better than him. Like,
for sure. He's no certainty.
So have that pace, have G sit on Koos, have Ciccone pace, and then it's not like there was a big, big difference between Koos and G here. So, yeah.
Okay. The drama between Rubio and Ciccone and Sothover behind us. We're going towards the final climb, and it's actually, I don't know why, but I kind of expected it to be longer than 5 kilometers, even though I've been looking at the profile for a few days now. It's only a 5K climb. It's a hard 5K climb, though. And at the foot, Ciccone's got 1 minute 06, I think, on the chasing group.
1 minute 06, and then he has, then I think the peloton was led by Svested. He was, by the way, he was a horrific descender in U23 Lombardia when he was on Arkea. One of the worst descents ever. I don't know who he's got the coaching from. His descending now is like 10 times better. He smashes this descent. He does it the same pace as Ciccone, which is very impressive because Ciccone was going full. He takes a minute almost. Yeah, Bard's saying takes a minute on G's group on this descent. So very impressive from him.
Yeah.
G is now back off podium on GC, like Benji said. On the valley, he keeps trucking. And the gap was, let's say, a minute at the base to Koos, Pellizzari, G, Caruso. Don't mind the rest. Jan Hirt. Forgot about Jan Hirt. And then it's 2 minutes 15 to Vingegaard, Goal, Piganzoli, Hindley, Aronsman, Bernal. So any group can win, actually.
That is fascinating.
It's a 17-minute climb, maybe?
Yes, I struggled with believing in the peloton, though. Initially, the gap was melting a little bit, but then it stagnated for a bit. I don't know at what point of the climb. So I stopped believing in that peloton despite the tempo being there. And was, I think, Bernal pacing at the foot, then Decathlon taking over. And then, to be honest, should we talk about the breakaway first?
Yeah, talk about the break. So G's riding defensively. And that's the thing, like, I thought G was going to keep riding, but he just rides his own pace on this climb. Pellizzari attacks with stage win Koos.
GC Koos is retired, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So Pelli attacks, he and Koos. They had a minute. Koos said after the stage he didn't really believe it anymore when he heard Ciccone started with a minute lead. But the reality is, like I said, Ciccone, that descent gap that he took, it comes with a price. And the price is being much more tired than the guys who were in the wheels behind. And Pellizzari and Koos, they take 30 seconds like in 1,500 meters. Very, very quickly, the gap is going down. It goes to 30 seconds, stays there for a bit. Pellizzari's pulling with Koos. G's coming back to them. So G's now doing his own pace. So he's doing his own pace for GC, plus he's defending Ciccone in front. Then Koos attacks again, drops G, drops Pellizzari, and he catches Ciccone with actually, like, it wasn't close, with like 2K to go. He's closed a minute on this climb.
And yeah, at that point, G was not that far behind Koos. And because G is like pacing his own tempo, you don't know where the actual snap is going to come, where G falters. But once Koos passes Ciccone into that last 1.5-ish K, that's when you know, okay, G is also not getting back, but G was starting to lose ground towards Koos as well. So Sepp Kuss was on his way to win a Giro d'Italia stage, and he's not won a Giro d'Italia stage yet. He's won a Vuelta stage in 2019, also in 2023, where he took the Mayo Rojo. Is that how you say it in Spanish? Probably. Then he won a Tour de France stage in 21?
Béchalis 21, just there.
Next to his house.
I climb up it every day. On the other side.
It's a horrible climb, by the way.
It is very steep. So yeah, Koos dances away. But still, like you say, I mean, we've seen Koos blow up on climbs before. Not today, but indeed today he had magic legs on the steep grades. But G was holding him.
We've seen GC Koos blow up on climbs.
Exactly, yeah. But G only finishes 13 seconds behind him. Koos wins to complete the Grand Tour trilogy. Ciccone in third, so a Trek 2-3 Ciccone on 36 seconds, doesn't get the stage win, but will go to KOM in a second, take a big lead there. Let's go back to the peloton now. So they started with a 2:15 gap, let's say. Bernal starts to smash on the bottom, but Ahrensman, then Decathlon take over with Mühlberger. We see Eulalia kind of making his blockhouse mistake. He's like sprinting to try to be P3. Mühlberger takes over, drops Eulalia. He loses quite a bit of time. And then Gol attacks with Vingegaard in the wheel. Hindley initially can't respond. Does his own pace. Ahrensman was struggling. He's gone. Piganzoli sits on him and then attacks Ahrensman a little bit afterwards. And Pellizzari had got dropped by Kuss. He then waits for Hindley, who then gets back to Gol. Vingegaard's obviously not relaying because he's got Kuss ahead. And Pellizzari starts to smash for Hindley. There's like Kamna on for Bora. And Hindley's taking big time, and he's quickly onto the virtual podium. So actually, I think Bora did it tactically perfect. They put in some fatigue when they could with Zwiehoff. They played for the stage, couldn't get the stage, then they used Pelli.
And the exact moment where Pellizzari realized that he could not get the stage win anymore is also the exact moment that he waited for Hindley to start pacing for Hindley. We often see riders continue riding in a group ahead, endlessly, hopelessly, while their GC rider could use them behind. That's not the case here. So perfect execution for Red Bull here, and not just Pellizzari, also Zwiehoff earlier. Fantastic ride by Red Bull, and the result is a podium, and I'm happy to see Jai Hindley on the podium. A bit sad that Ahrensman drops off it, because I've been enjoying the Ahrensman podium hype, but on the other hand, is there a way in which if Ineos sends 2 satellite riders up the road, that Ahrensman's in a better position, like a Bernal satellite rider, instead of spending him at the foot of the climb?
Well, this is what I've been saying for 2.5 weeks, that Ineos and Bora's fight is not just with each other. It was also like, to get on the podium, it's also, you can take Gol off by attacking him in a way.
Yeah.
And no one really did that. So, well, we got tomorrow's stage, of course, but...
A weakness of Gol is not really a weakness if nobody tries to exploit that weakness. Well, the weakness is there, but if nobody exploits it, then there's no damage in GC, and we've seen that with Gol's ascending. Tomorrow there's the descent of the Piancavallo climb, but I don't really expect them to hammer it to drop Philly's Gol. I think they're going to wait for the final climb and hope that they can make it happen there, if I'm being completely honest. Now, okay. After that, what happens is basically that group going... I didn't actually see the finish of the GC ride.
So Hindley takes over from Pellizzari, keeps just a pace going because he's riding himself onto the podium. Gol attacks him just in the last sort of 200 meters. Ciccone does finish ahead. So Vingegaard misses out on KOM points by a little bit, but Gol finishes 4 seconds ahead of Hindley, same time Vingegaard. And next GC rider is Piganzoli on 1:11. So they were on 36 seconds. Piganzoli was like 40 seconds back. I think that is... 30 seconds back rather, 32 seconds. Ahrensman loses a minute to Hindley, that's a lot. Bernal is on 2:14. Eulalia 2:25. So Vingegaard stays put on 4:03 to Gol. Hindley goes into third on 5:04. He's a minute behind Gol. He's not climbing better than Gol. So I think Gol is clearly, like, apart from descending, he's not going to lose time to Hindley on Piancavallo.
Yep.
Ahrensman loses third. He goes into fourth. He's on 30 seconds behind Hindley. G West moves into fifth, a minute or 55 seconds ahead of Eulalia. Eulalia into sixth. Stora in seventh. Piganzoli eighth. Caruso ninth. Bernal back into the top 10 in the white jersey. Piganzoli is now a minute 3 behind Eulalia, having taken a minute minute 14 today, about half his gap he erased today.
I'm looking at the riders outside our top 10, and I feel like past P11, there's 5 minutes to P12 from Rondell to Harper. So that gap might be coming to the point where it might be difficult for a top 10 musical chair to come from anywhere beyond top 11.
Yeah.
Even with a breakaway, you'd need a 5 minute plus gap, which Visma Leasebike isn't just going to give that easily based on the way they've been riding every single mountain stage. So I'd expect Kilik to just control the flat portion on 2-3 minutes, and yeah, we'd see what happens afterwards. But I also think we should go over the other classifications. By the way, like obviously Paul Magnier has secured points classification if he finishes. That is to the side. KOM Ciccone is now 57 points ahead of Jonas Vingegaard. So on the last climb tomorrow, Piancavallo, there's 50 points available, 40 points on the second last climb. I might be inventing that, but I think that's the case. Which means that for Jonas to be competitive with Ciccone, he needs to get points on both climbs and win the stage. Which I think Ciccone has it. And I think Ciccone is going to go in the breakaway just in case, or going to try to go in the breakaway just in case, to take any points he can get on that first Piancavallo climb. Now, white jersey, Eulalia has 1 minute and 3 seconds left, so this is going to be a close one tomorrow. Because I think Visma is going to free Piganzoli to take this white jersey away from Eulalia. It's 1:03. It is possible.
I think it's one thing. Do they free him or do they actively ride to do it?
Yeah, I don't think Piganzoli is going to attack like crazy.
No, but today you could have done it. If you squeeze with Campanarts on Koi and you got Eulalia out of the draft over the top, then it's over.
Yep.
They didn't do that today. Will they do that on Piancavallo tomorrow?
It's a harder climb than the final one here today.
What did Piganzolo? So Piganzolo took 1 minute today in 17 minutes. What did he take on Pila?
Is it comparable 1-to-1 though? Today was a much more significant climb throughout the entire day, you know?
On Pila, he took 1 minute 50.
I think it's over for Eulalia.
Yeah, like this, Piganzoli should take the white jersey.
Yeah. And I don't think Piganzoli is going to have to do like a massive lead out for Vingegaard or anything. So with that in mind, he won't have an excess energy spendage. I think Piganzoli wins white is my take on that. Rondel's out of the picture unless he goes in the breakaway, which is still possible.
Yeah.
Because he's also outside of top 10, so...
I don't think they'll let you to do that again.
It's also on the flat, so it's harder. It's easier to control it if Rondel tries that with Tudor.
Yeah. Tomorrow's stage, it is the last mountain stage. It is from Gemona del Friuli to Piancavallo, 200 kilometers long. We have 133 Ks of sort of light hilly terrain with a couple of climbs in between. There's an intermediate sprint on top of a 1.2K 8% climb, then a 6K 6% climb. But then about 3 hours in, we have the Piancavallo. It's 15 Ks 7.8%. Then a descent, then another like false flat downhill valley. Then they do the rep again. Similar, but not as hard as the Monte Grappa stage the other year. But this is a bit of a fake news climb because the first 9 Ks are 9%, 9.3% average. This is the climb that Jai Hindley was flying on in 2020 in that COVID Giro.
Yep.
They did a crazy climbing record. Gegenhardt won the stage, but it was Kelderman and Hindley there. And
did Dumoulin not do a Piancavallo in his life?
I don't know.
Or am I inventing that?
But it's a hard climb, and it's a long stage to control. I think the brakes got it because Vingegaard's lost too many KOM points. You can't, and so...
Just to confirm, Dumoulin rode the Piancavallo climb in 2017 while he was leading the race, but he actually seemingly lost time, or there was a large breakaway ahead of him. I lost time to Vincenzo Nibali and so forth, which obvious. Let's be honest about it. Vincenzo Nibali is the best cyclist ever lived. But who's the winner that we're gonna pick here? Breakaway, peloton. How you feeling?
Giulio Ciccone from the breakaway.
He's gonna be so angry.
Save Trek Giro.
They kind of need it. Is KOM enough to save Trek Giro? No.
No, they came here with Milan.
Yeah, Ciclamino multiple stages was the expectation. It's not the case at all. A
podium would have saved it. You can't, if you're not UAE or Visma and you podium the Giro, that's like a good result.
our previous picks for this stage were I picked Sexas and Vine. I picked Paul Sexas like a year ago, so to be clear, not last week. And you picked Lenny Martinez and Cepeda, so we're both doomed in terms of previous picks. It's all about
Lenny would
all about today. So you go for Ciccone, I'll go for. I reckon I'll run it back. There's one man today that I love this behavior of. Aina Rubio. Let's go.
Rubio against
He gets
Ciccone.
into every break.
Yeah, because he got Malaysia, the GOAT. We got one more in us. We need one more Rubio Ciccone special battle for cinematic purposes. And then GC wise, I don't see Aronsman dropping Hindley.
I don't see that either. This is the Hindley climb, though, you know, in the sense that what's the gap from him to Thingy again to goal? It's too big, right?
It's a minute. Yeah, but
That's
he's
a
not
lot.
climbing better than goal.
Yeah, but I was rooting for like a bit of a change in GC there. Derek G with a gap of a minute. I don't see him really passing Arensman.
He should go on the break again.
Now he's in P5, so now it's definitely not happening. Now Visma will control him.
Not really. He lost like he's still this time gap to Vingegaard's basically the same.
Yeah, but the position matters, I think.
Not really.
I think it does.
It's on 6:30.
Riders can only remember X amount of riders.
True, yeah.
The Visma Domestiques only have the brain capacity for 5 riders. So they're like, I can only remember up to P5.
Yeah.
The rest is free to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going for Rubio. I think Piganzoli can move up in GC to P6, actually. Stora and Eulalia are the only two.
Yeah, he can. He's got to take 40 seconds on Stora and a minute
Not
on
easy.
Eulalia.
Yeah.
What did he take on Stora on stage 14? On Kari, I think Stora was pretty good.
On Pila is like 20 seconds, 35 seconds.
On Pila, Stora was also pretty good, but Piganzoli was pulling there.
And it's also week 3, so we can't compare week to week in that sense. Fatigue is here, especially after today's stage. It wouldn't surprise me if one of the riders tomorrow has a bit of a moment of like, damn, yesterday was hard.
Exactly. Alrighty, there are picks for tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed the pod. And we'll see you with the recap of Piancavallo, the final mountain stage of this Giro tomorrow.
Wait.
Oh, Luke.
Giro d'Italia women starts tomorrow.
Sorry.
We have the list in front of us, Pat. We got to go into it.
Yeah.
So there's 9 stages. Giro d'Italia women starts tomorrow, actually. So starts already while the men's Giro d'Italia is still ongoing. And it starts off with a flat sprint stage, basically, where...
But this is woke. This starts in Cesenatico, the home of Marco Pantani, and it's a flat sprint stage.
I think it's Lorena Wiebes takes the pink jersey day.
Yep. So yeah, to the sprinters here, we have Wiebes, Consoni, Charlotte Cole, who's been winning. It's between Cole and Wiebes, but Wiebes is obviously the heavy favorite for the Maglia Rosa.
Talking about woke, I feel like this whole Giro d'Italia women is backloaded like the Tour de France Fun this time around. Because yes, there's a individual mountain time trial on day 4, so that's very valuable for GC. But then on stage 8, there's Colle del Finestre. So we first had that combination Finestre and Sestriere in the U23 race where Pablo Torres won. Then we had it in the L'Avenir women's race.
Won, yeah.
And then in the men's Giro d'Italia last year where Samaniez didn't win. It was Harper?
Harper.
That's the first time I remember that it was not Samaniez winning that day. It's actually quite sad for Harper. But now it's in the women's Giro d'Italia, and that is going to be the all-deciding factor. But I think the mountain time trial is going to be already quite decisive, right?
I think so. I mean, yeah, you have 3 sprint stages. I think Wiebes survives all 3 of the first ones. The mountain TT, 7Ks, 8%. That's a proper mountain TT. Stage 5's really, really hard. That is a proper mountain stage. I mean, multiple climbs between 15 minutes and half an hour at 8 to 9%. That's a legitimate mountain stage. another sprint stage in stage 6, another sprint stage on stage 7.
Yeah.
Could be, I think maybe a Barradura I'd like to see on stage 7. And then, Finestra to Sestriere. I think it would have been very interesting. I wish Gigante was here. I think she's not starting because of an injury.
Femur
But
still.
you have like Gigante, say, type rider, Stiazni, who also thoughts with Stiazni. She just had a terrible crash and is recovering at the moment, the winner on Angleroo. Those riders drop everyone on Finestra, but then they got to do the descent, valley, and false and shallow climb to Sestriere against like the bigger climbers. Would have been, a nice balance.
And Stiazni is also injured, I'm pretty sure. She had a training accident a few days ago. So all the pure climbers are out of the race. Very sad, to be honest, because I was looking forward to seeing Sarah Gigante on this parkour, especially because, yes, the Finestre descent is there, but outside of that stage, only stage 5 really has descents.
Exactly. Stage 5 is the tricky one.
Maybe stage 9, but then it's like in the first half of the stage that you have to drop her.
We have, as the GC favorite, obviously Demi Vollering. She's here with a Celia Géry, Eva van Aert, Krak, Guazzini, Dixon, Wollaston. Not the best climbing team for FDJ United Suez, but Dixon was very good in Basque Country. She'll probably be the best climber.
It's also not... Stage 5 is the only real... I feel like stage 5 is the only parkour where you need climbing support to control the stage.
Yeah.
Because up to Finestre, it's flat up until the climb, and Demi Vollering can do the climb, you know?
Exactly. They got Wollaston for the sprints. Trekker got Fisher Black, Schul, and Holmgren. That's 2 riders I think will be in the top 5. Royce is the leader for Movistar, and they got Ferguson for the sprints. Visma bring Bunel, Kladnova, De Vries for GC, and then Veenhoven for the sprints. Van der Brecher for SD Works, with Vivas for the sprints, obviously guaranteed wins. Valiers.
Marlon Reusser, this is her first race back since her broken vertebrae from that Tour of Flanders crash. So I'm really curious to see what she can achieve at this race. And I think with Longoborghini, it's also the first time we see her since the classic season, RV
Since Tour of Flanders too.
She skipped the Hill Classic. So she won this race last year, if my memory serves me right. So she's going to be, am I drunk?
You're
2025.
Right.
Yeah, that's last year. For some reason, I thought it was 2027 already, which that just brain dead. So yeah, Longoborghini, etc. I'm going to be boring here. I think Demi Vollering should clear this race.
I think so too. I think I'm going to pick Niedermeyer.
Okay.
And Holmgren.
As like your podium candidates, or?
Yeah.
Like on paper, if Reusser is at her level, then that mountain time trial is something she should be really good at. I hope she is at her level, because last year at the Giro d'Italia Women, she was really good.
That was a very exciting race between Gigante, Longoborghini, and Reusser. That was fantastic.
That was top level cycling. Now, I feel like we haven't had enough promotion about the Slovakian Storm, Patrick.
Kladneva.
Yeah, well, you always hype up the Storm, but whereas...
We'll see.
No, Benel's been climbing fantastic this year, though. She was the one that podiumed Vuelta Femenina 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
we've had
De Vries is in good shape. So
yeah, we had Burgos and Itzulia since, which it kind of feels like a 3-week Grand Tour if you combine all 3 of those races, to be honest. Van der Breggen's level this year has been good, so I expect her to be competitive, but it's also... I also don't see her as like a winning candidate.
No,
that makes sense?
I don't see it. I think riders like Fisher Black and will climb better.
I think that's...
Like, these are proper steep climbs.
Yeah.
So many hard climbs in this race.
I'm trying to look at the smaller teams. Like, on a climb like Finestre, I also expect Valentina Cavalar to almost climb as good as Van der Breggen.
Oh, is Van der Breggen? Well, yeah.
On the actual Finestre climb. Afterwards, not so much.
The only thing is, it is gravel, and I think that does suit the like a little bit, medium-sized riders a bit more. Like, I think Vollering should be good on Finestre, obviously. But also, like,
No.
Valorant can catch you on the valley after. Ancestry has 5%.
Do we have any the annoying thing is that there's a lot of sprint stage, because I was looking for like a fun pick for a stage win, but every single sprint I'm just shouting Wibbers, you know?
Yeah, like the Muracar del Poggio is a million miles from the finish, so it's just gonna be a sprint.
It's stage 5 that could go breakaway.
Give me Justine Hikira on stage 7.
Stage 7 is the one with the hill?
Yeah.
In the last 20k, 30k?
Yeah.
I
think Justine Hikira attacks on the first 2.2k climb that's 6%, all the little rollers there, gets a gap, and then just no one chases.
I was looking for like a I was looking for a Trinquerball operator, but she's obviously not riding this race. I'm not completely sure. What I see as like a potential stage winner that is not necessarily the all-out favorite.
Me either. Alrighty.
Fleur Morse is going to win stage 5. Fuck it. Just throwing that out there. I think stage 5 is too hard for her, but I'll do it anyway.
Okay. I'll allow it. Anyway, that starts, by the way, tomorrow. So it overlaps with 2 stages, but they are just sprints. So we'll allow it. Okay. Thanks for listening as always, and we'll see you with a recap of stage 20 tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.